Start this evening's meeting with, we'll have a moment of silence for former Mayor Dave Hood. I just wanted to read our city manager's comments to the media regarding Mayor Hood, because I thought she captured well his service to the city of Ormond Beach. She said, "I was fortunate to get to work with former Mayor, State Representative Judge David Hood on a few issues, and he was a passionate advocate for what he believed in. That being said, former Mayor Hood was passionate about the city of Ormond Beach and helping the city prepare and sustain itself for the future. I understand he asked the Commission to set aside specific funds for transportation funding. It was a visionary concept at the time for local governments to establish and dedicate specific tax millage internally, not through the property appraiser's office, for specific needs and take it right off the top of all tax revenues received. This action ensured that not only did the city have funds set aside for specific needs, it also helped to ensure that operational growth did not outpace the long-term capital needs of the city. Future commissions have continued and expanded this policy to include other areas such as capital improvements and renewal and replacement funds. But it was Mayor Hood's leadership that started that. These dedicated funding streams proved a lifesaver for the city of Ormond Beach as we entered the recession years. And while some sister cities weren't able to dedicate the necessary resources to such things as capital projects, patrol car replacements, or road repaving, the city of Ormond Beach had and continues to have money set aside for very specific purposes. And so that's just one aspect of what Mayor Hood did. His leadership continues to have many positive impacts on the city of Ormond Beach, financially and otherwise, for years to come. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family, wishing them the best during this very difficult time. And if we could just stand and take a moment of silence in his honor. Thank you very much. Please be seated. I'd like to welcome you to the March 21st, 2019 regular City Commission meeting of the City of Ormond Beach. It's just after 7 p.m. We are in Commission chambers. I hope you felt welcomed by our greeters this evening. Robert Carolyn, our Leisure Services Director, and Stephen Licklider, our Airport Manager, were our greeters. And to introduce the folks in front of you, to my right, your left, is Wendy Nichols, our Recording Secretary. City Clerk Lisa Dame. City Commissioner from Zone 1, Dwight Selby. Our Deputy Mayor and Zone 2 Commissioner, Troy Kent. To my left and your right, City Commissioner from Zone 3, Susan Persis. Commissioner from Zone 4, Rob Littleton. City Manager Joyce Shanahan. Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley. Our City Attorney Randy Hayes. And for those of you listening online, I'm Mayor Bill Partington. At this time, if you would rise again for the invocation given by Pastor Phyllis Rose Brown with the historic New Bethel AME Church, and that'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Pastor.
Let us bow our heads. Most holy, righteous, and everlasting God, in humility and prayer, we come seeking your face. And all that we do or say, let your will be done, not only on earth, but in this meeting tonight. We ask for your blessings on our mayor, commissioners, and all who are assembled here. As laws, procedures, and discussions go forth, let your wisdom, honesty, and integrity lead the way. Lord, we ask for your blessings on America, the state of Florida, county of Volusia, the city of Ormond Beach. Bless this city with prosperity, freedom from crime, freedom from biases of all people, and fullness of you, O God. We also acknowledge the passing of former mayor, judge, state congressman, the Honorable David Hood, a visionary who loved and cared for this city. Lord, we ask your blessings on his family, loved ones, and friends in their hour of bereavement. As we go forth in this city council meeting, let all that is done here tonight be pleasing in your sight. In the name above every name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the presentation and proclamations. Chief, I was supposed to give you a sign, but I can't remember exactly what it was. But if you would, come up and introduce our new officers for us.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you for having us. Good evening. On my far left, your far right, is Officer Sierra Devane. She grew up in Albany, New York. She moved to Daytona Beach with her family while in middle school. Soon after graduating Atlantic High School, she joined the Navy as an intelligence specialist. Officer Devane graduated in 2018 from the Basic Law Enforcement Academy, number 75 at Daytona State College. Officer Devane's mother, father, and little sister live in Port Orange. Sierra and her boyfriend also live in Port Orange and enjoy outdoor activities. The next officer is Officer Bert Stanley. Officer Stanley is from Richmond, Virginia, and has lived in Florida since 2012. He graduated from Mainland High School in 2016, where he played football. In 2017, he graduated from the Basic Law Enforcement Academy at Daytona State College. During his time off, he enjoys time trial driving at different racetracks and working on vehicles. Our next officer is Officer Austin Long. You may remember him from a few meetings ago, in a good way.
Yes.
Officer Long was born in Orlando, Florida, and raised in the New Smyrna Beach area. He graduated from New Smyrna Beach High School and is currently enrolled at Daytona State College, pursuing his associate's degree. He graduated from the Law Enforcement Academy at Daytona State. When not at work, Officer Long enjoys participating in outdoor activities with friends and family, as well as exercising. Officer Long is a fourth-generation family member to be a first responder. And last but certainly not least is Officer Sarah Dorosky. She was born in Rochester, New York, and has lived in Ormond Beach most of her life. In 2013, she graduated from the Basic Law Enforcement Academy at Daytona State. She has served both with the Daytona Beach and the Holly Hill Police Department, but it seems like she's found her home here in Ormond Beach. She's been with us since May, and we're glad she's here. She enjoys outdoor activities, video games, crafts, and spending time with her boyfriend and pets. Ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, I introduce to you 4 of our newest officers.
Awesome. Picture time. Or you want us all up behind them? What do you think? Yeah. Can you guys come over?
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Chief. All right. We are on audience remarks, and I don't have any cards for the standard audience remarks, so we will move to approval of minutes. The minutes have been sent to the Commission for review, also posted to the city's website, and these are from February 26, 2019 and March 5th, 2019. Any additions, deletions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Selby.
Yeah, regarding the March 5th minutes, as indicated on the minutes of those minutes on page 3, I expressed my intent to vote against, to vote no, but I inadvertently voted yes, and I would ask that the minutes reflect my decision to, or my intent, which was to vote no.
Randy, do we need a motion for that, or?
No, sir. That can just be reflected in the minutes accordingly, if that's the pleasure of the Commission.
That is, I don't see why, as a courtesy, we wouldn't allow that. I think from his statements made prior, it was clear that that was your intent. So, unless anybody has any objection, then we will deem that, have them amended. And do they need to come back to us?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll receive that as grace provided for my seniority.
Very well. Thank you. And now we move on to the Community Redevelopment Agency action. The following item is a community redevelopment item. The City Commission serves as the Community Redevelopment Agency of the city and must review these items and make a recommendation as the CRA. Therefore, at this time, we will recess the City Commission meeting and call the CRA meeting to order. And I will ask the Secretary for the CRA to read the title, but first I'm going to open the public hearings.
This is resolution number 2019-63, a resolution of the City Commission, also acting as the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, accepting a bid from Brant's Diversified for construction services regarding the Casson Park Floating Dock Breakwater and Dredging Project under bid number 2019-08, authorizing the execution of a contract and payment therefore, rejecting all other bids, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2019-63, read by title only.
Thank you. I have one card, if needed, from Jerry Gennaro, who's been involved with this issue. Where is Jerry? Jerry, let me do this. Let me ask for a motion in a second, and we'll see if we need you or not, if that's okay.
Motion to approve resolution number 2019-63.
Second.
Any discussion? Questions for staff or for Mr. Gennaro?
I just had a question, Mr. Mayor. It looks like it's about $129,000 over what we expected it would be. Is that correct?
I think that's correct. Joyce, did you want to start?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and I don't see John here. Oh, here's John. I'll have him come up. It's primarily because of the change in the breakwater, and that's why there's a change.
Good evening, John Noble, City Engineer.
Good evening.
After Hurricane Irma, we had a workshop where we presented the repairs that we were looking to do for the pier, which is almost complete, I'm happy to say. And also we talked about the dock and the breakwater. At that time, we were asked to extend the breakwater to further out to the river to better protect the pier. DEP would not allow that because of the proximity to the channel, so we moved it in to better protect our docking facilities. And so that additional breakwater length resulted in additional cost.
So, and am I reading this correctly that the $129,000 will come from our general reserves? That's the plan? the city.
planned.
Is it possible to get that money from the TIF reserves?
I don't believe they have a whole lot of money in there, but we can look at that if you want us to. We'll have to bring it back as a budget amendment anyway.
Right. Any other questions? All right. Anyone else have any other questions? Then we will just use a voice vote for the CRA. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. And we'll show that passing unanimously. And I'll ask the Secretary of the CRA to read item B.
Resolution number 2019-64, a resolution of the City Commission also acting as the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, accepting a proposal from Dredging and Marine Consultants, LLC, to provide construction administration services regarding the Casson Park floating dock, breakwater and dredging project, authorizing the execution of a work authorization thereto, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2019-64, read by title only.
Thank you, Lisa. I don't have any cards on 7B. I just need a motion in a second.
I move to approve resolution number 2019-64.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? We'll call a voice vote on this one as well. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. And we'll show that passing unanimously as well. And I'll close the public hearings. We'll move on to item 8, the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull any item from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, yes, I'd like to pull item A and item Q.
A and Q.
Mr. Mayor, motion to approve consent absent items A and Q.
Second.
All right. Oh, Lisa, did you need?
Actually, I'm sorry. I don't need to pull A because we just discussed that. So, but Q, I would like to pull Q.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to withdraw my motion and start over.
Okay.
So, motion to approve the consent agenda item absent item Q.
Second.
Great. Thank you. Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Selby.
Yes.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And that brings us to item 8Q.
This is a request for the City Commission to allow a mountain bike trail to be constructed at Riverbend Park. It's a discussion or disposition item, sorry.
And maybe Mr. Carolyn might be, it's up to you, Ms. Shanahan, but I have a question about this mountain bike project.
Sure, Robert can answer this.
Yeah, okay. So, Robert, while you're coming up, first of all, I think it's a great project, a great use of land. I've been on the mountain bike trail down in Port Orange, and, it's a similar kind of terrain, and I think this is going to be fantastic. I just have one pretty simple question. That we're entering into some sort of agreement, if you will, but there's no entity named. So who's going to actually build this, or where are we at in the process?
Well, essentially, Robert Carolyn, Leisure Service Director, it's a group of volunteers, if you'll have it, that are interested in building or creating a mountain bike trail. So there really isn't a specific entity. It's just a group of volunteers that are interested in gathering together and not creating a specific entity, but just building something for the benefit of a mountain bike trail.
Okay, so now I got to defer to our city attorney. I'm not, just being somebody who's a guardian of the city, I'm not terribly comfortable with, allowing a group of volunteers who are out raising money, et cetera, when there is no entity. There brings up liability issues for me,
Yeah,
Is it a
we
concern?
had anticipated that we would work together with the Leisure Services Department and put some structure to this.
Okay.
If there's any element or aspect that needs to come back for formal approval, we'll do that.
Okay.
But obviously, the concerns are the same concerns that we would identify
great.
too.
So we're moving the concept forward tonight,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. Perfect. Thank you.
And Robert, is this group that's going to make this trail, are they going to maintain it? How is that going to work?
Yes, ma'am. They've all agreed that, and there's several of them, but they've agreed that they're going to put together what they call a trail committee that will twice a quarter go in and make sure that the trail's maintained, garbage is picked up, and it's still safely can be utilized.
No, I think it's wonderful. I know so many people that do this for a hobby. You know, they ride mountain bikes, and now they don't have to go to Ocala and go, far from Ormond Beach to go do this. So I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, the other big benefit to this too, I think, is the additional utilization of that Riverbend Park, which has kind of a checkered past, for things. So having legitimate people there doing legitimate activities, I think, will be really great. Encourage other additional use of the park.
And Mr. Mayor, if I might add,
Yes.
Primarily what this group of volunteers is going to be doing is trimming some of the low-lying shrubbery. There's a small area that has to have a raised boardwalk because it's in a wetlands, and they have secured the volunteer services of Shannon Julian, who's an environmental engineer that will help them with that and do any kind of permitting that would be required. So that's probably why it's not as clearly defined, but we'll work on that.
Deputy Mayor Kent.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. And I was going to compliment Ms. Shanahan and Mr. Carolyn because the agenda item laid it all out there. That information about our volunteer group who they've really taken this bull by the horns, so to speak, and they've got environmental engineers and an architect going to look at the bridge. I mean, they have people on board who are qualified to do the work. I was so pleased when I spoke with some of the members of the group that they weren't going to cut down any trees. They're going to make sure the trail meanders around those trees. They will trim back bush and tree limbs and things that are in the way. And it is going to be another great addition for Ormond Beach. And believe it or not, Mr. Mayor and Commission, I actually was on a bike trail this past weekend at Hanna Park in Jacksonville. And it was spectacular. And the whole time I was up there, I was talking about Ormond Beach is getting ready to have something like that here. So good stuff.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
I have one card from Mike Manis to speak if needed. I don't think he does need to, but Mike, I just wanted to recognize you and thank you for being here. Lisa, I believe we have a motion and a second on 8Q.
We need the motion and second.
I'll make that motion now, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
And please call the vote.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And now would be the appropriate time if any member of the commission wants to comment on any of the consent agenda items. Deputy Mayor Kent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to talk about item Q, but we just did, so that's off my list. Item H, city got their money. There was a lien, and we didn't reduce it to nothing or half or anything like that. I mean, the city was owed money, and we got the money, so I'm proud of the city for that. And then last but not least was we also on the consent agenda talked about or approved the break wall and the floating boat dock, which are going to be excellent additions to Ormond Beach, our downtown, Casson Park. I'm just excited that this is underway. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Commissioner Selby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two items. Item G was the resolution of a cost overrun with McMahon Construction. I'm happy that got resolved, but I especially want to commend Zeb Cohen and Associates. Dwight Durant, who's their president, is here in the audience tonight, for volunteering to refund the city $5,000 of his fee in order to help resolve that situation. I think that was exemplary action on the part of that great firm. And then also on item U, which was the auto renewal of 4 of our sports agreements, I just want to thank each of those organizations for what they do. Their volunteers, we wouldn't have those sports activities, certainly not at the cost that we offer them at, without all the volunteer hours that put all those sports programs together. And I just wanted to give them some props for, not some props, but tremendous props for what they do to make that happen. Staff does a great job in facilitating with them and providing facilities for them, but they interface with the kids and make the programs happen, provide the coaches, et cetera, so it's great.
Thank you, Commissioner Selby. Anyone else? All right. We will move to public hearings, and I will open the public hearings and ask the clerk to read resolution number 2019-71.
Resolution 2019-71, a resolution authorizing the execution and issuance of a first amended special exception development order for Salty Ministries, Inc., to be known as the Salty Church. Special exception located at 221 Vining Court and 190 Coquina Court within the B4 Central Business Zoning District within the Downtown Overlay District to allow an additional 6,457 square feet expansion and improvements of the assembly area. To allow future renovations be approved in accordance with B4 zoning district and to acknowledge the expiration of Resolution 2007-85, ratifying and affirming the development order. Prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, Salty Ministries, Inc. shall complete the city process of combining the two parcels, resulting in one parcel identification number, establishing conditions and expiration date of approval, and setting forth an effective date. This is Resolution 2019-71, read by title only.
Thank you, Lisa. And I just want to go back for a moment, make sure that once we finished up the CRA items, I know that I closed the public hearings, but at that time, before we went to the consent agenda, we did reconvene the City Commission meeting. I just wanted to make that clear for the record, make sure Randy didn't have any issue with that. We're now on item 9A. I've opened the public hearings. The clerk has been kind enough to read the resolution by title, and at this time I'll ask our planning director, Stephen Spraker, to speak on this item. 9A.
Good evening, Stephen Spraker, Planning Director. This is a request for a special exception on Vining Court. There are two properties at 190 Coquina Court shown in yellow, and then the principal building today at 221 Vining Court. The special exception seeks to do three things. One is to allow an expanded house of worship in a sanctuary area of 6,457 square feet, to allow future renovations to go through the Site Plan Review Committee as conditional use because it was changed over time since the original special exception was done, and to repeal the special exception that allowed this area to be a paved parking lot. The project is shown on the screen above. This is the existing building. This area is the expansion, which would contain the principal's place of assembly. They have reworked the parking lot to provide landscaping around. They've done a combination of both paved parking and grass parking, so that way they've reduced their impervious area. And within the application, they've provided shared parking agreements to assist with their parking needs. This is an elevation of the proposed building, and if you notice, they've tied the two buildings together, so that architecturally they flow together, and they're all seen as one campus for the church. There was a neighborhood meeting conducted on January 15th of this year. The Site Plan Review Committee has reviewed this project and recommends approval, and the Planning Board also reviewed the project and recommended approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Any questions for Stephen? All right. I don't have any cards on 9A. Just need a motion in a second.
Mr. Mayor, I'll go ahead and make that motion for approval right now.
Thank
I
you,
second the motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Littleton. Any discussion?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kent.
Just want to start out and just say what a great neighbor Salty Church has been to the beach side of Ormond Beach. And I see the pastor, Robbie O'Brien, here. I appreciate, and speak for myself now, I appreciate what you've done in our community. We have worked hard on that area of our beach side, and you have a good problem over there, and I guess you're busting at your seams. And I was there, unfortunately, recently for a funeral, but I'm really proud of the work you all have been doing in that neighborhood, and I'm excited that this is before us tonight. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Commissioner Persis.
I just want to say I'm also thrilled that this church is expanding. I know many people who attend the Salty Church, and it's very popular here. I know especially a lot of young people like to go there, and it's a wonderful place for our young people to go, have fellowship, and that it's growing is just wonderful for our community. So I'm just very excited about it.
Commissioner Selby.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I will need to abstain from the vote on this decision. I have a business relationship. The church is a tenant in my building, and a partnership that I'm in actually sold them a few years back the land that they're developing here. So I will not be able to participate in the vote on this matter, but I will echo the comments that have already been made. Salty Church is an amazing asset to the community. Great people that do great work. Their renovation and occupancy of the old fire station on Granada and the services that they provide in there to families is fantastic, and we are very, very fortunate to have Salty Church in our community.
Amen. And with that, Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. That brings us to 9B.
Ordinance number 2019-2, an ordinance adopting certain updated schedules to the capital improvements element of the City of Ormond Beach Comprehensive Plan, providing when such update shall take effect, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of Ordinance 2019-2, read by title only.
Thank you, Lisa. I don't have any cards. This is a second reading.
I move to approve ordinance number 2019-02.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And we move to 9C.
Ordinance number 2019-3, an ordinance amending paragraph C, official zoning map of section 2-01, establishment of zoning districts and official zoning map of Article 1, establishment of zoning districts and official zoning map of Charter 2, district and general regulations of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by amending the official zoning map to rezone a certain parcel of real property totaling approximately 3.56 acres located at 275 Interchange Boulevard, Volusia County parcel number 4125-10-00-006B from B7 Highway Tourist Commercial with a planned business development overlay, Southwest I-95 complex to planned business development, authorizing revision of official zoning map, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-3, read by title only.
Thank you, Lisa. I do not have any cards on 9C.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And that brings us to 9D. Please read the title.
Ordinance number 2019-4, an ordinance authorizing the execution and issuance of a development order for a planned business development to be known as Extended Stay America, authorizing the construction of a 4-story all-suites hotel with 124 rooms along with associated site improvements to be located at 275 Interchange Boulevard, Volusia County parcel number 4125-10-00-006B, authorizing a parking deferral of 39 parking spaces, establishing conditions and expirations of approval, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of Ordinance 2019-4, read by title only.
Thank you, Lisa. No cards on this item either.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. I'd just like to say that I'm really glad that the developer and the staff and planning board were able to work through the reduction in the required parking on this from 1.5 spaces per room to 1 space per room. That saved a lot of trees, will create additional open area, and historically these types of hotels only require one space per room because of the longer stay and so forth. They're not as transient and so forth. So I'm really grateful to see that. I think it's a good move, and maybe, I don't know if we anticipate more of these types of hotels, but that might be something we could look at in the code, you know, as a administrative modification.
Great. Anyone else? Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And 9E.
Ordinance number 2019-5, an ordinance authorizing the execution and issuance of a first amended planned business development order for the Granada Point Planned Business Development located at 520 West Granada Boulevard, Volusia County parcel number 4241-48-00-0010, 550 West Granada Boulevard, Volusia County parcel number 4241-48-00-00-20, 600 West Granada Boulevard, Volusia County parcel number 4241-48-00-0030, 650 West Granada Boulevard, Volusia County parcel number 4241-48-00-0040, 535 Tomoka Avenue, Volusia County parcel number 4241-48-00-000A, 101 Bennett Lane, Volusia County parcel number 4241-48-00-000B, 655 West Granada Boulevard, Volusia County parcel number 4241-0112-0100, no address north side of Granada Boulevard, Volusia County parcel number 4241-0112-0100, no address north side of Granada Boulevard, Volusia County parcel number 4241-0110-0070, no address north side of Granada Boulevard, Volusia County parcel number 4241-0109-0120, no address north side of Granada Boulevard, Volusia County parcel number 4241-0109-0110, to allow a car wash as permitted, retail use under certain conditions, to allow privacy walls to range from a minimum of 6 feet in height to a maximum of 8 feet in height, to remove the condition for an easement for 8 parking spaces on the north parcel, providing for the $10,000 contribution to be made to the Ormond Beach Historical Society, and clarifying that 2 out parcels are permitted on Unit 4, establishing conditions and expirations of approval, ratifying and confirming all prior approvals, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-5, read by title only.
Thank you, Lisa. And I do have a few cards on this one. Connie Colby.
Good evening. My name is Connie Colby. I live at 108 Roba Lane. I just have a couple of questions here. First of all, fact or opinion. The planning board has said no to the car wash. Is the only thing I'm specifically speaking about right now. The planning director said no. The LDC says no. The comp plan for 2025 says no. We have an opinion that somebody thinks it fits and that the codes are outdated. And I like to think that we make decisions based on facts, not opinions. I was reading about this request for the car wash to be labeled a retail, and I would like to ask the planning director if he would explain the difference between this being a car wash being retail as opposed to automotive service, because retail to me means that you're selling something. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. Judy Stamper.
Hi there, I'm Judy Stamper. I'm a business owner right across the street from Granada Point. I've had a business there for over 20 years. And I kind of regret not getting involved prior to the clear cutting that happened very quickly, and we're past that point right now. But I'm here to kind of express my concerns that the commissioners seem to have allowed for some special exceptions that will, I feel, increase the traffic and erode the beauty of Granada. Boulevard, which, as I said, I've been there for a long time with my business, and I'm concerned about not only the traffic, but the long-term beauty of Granada Beach and the sense of the retail community, and I'm opposed to the car wash and drive-through restaurants. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Ann Long.
Hi, my name is Ann Long. I live at 14 Ormond Green Boulevard here in Ormond Beach, and I am also opposed to the car wash. I just want to make a couple comments. My husband and I are retired, and when we came down here and we looked at a number of different areas, but we chose Ormond Beach because of the slow pace of life, because of the aesthetic appeal of this town, and we thought this would be a good place to be retired. The other places that we looked at, we thought we liked them, but they were going to be too overwhelming, and we were anticipating being old. I was shocked when I saw what happened at Granada Point. I absolutely shocked. That's all I can say when I saw the clear cutting. I understand the commissioners have to balance the business interests with the quality of life of the residents, but I think that you've gone a little too far in the direction of development and are shortchanging the quality of life here. I have to tell you that I am afraid now at some times of the day to drive on Granada. The traffic has become so heavy that I'm afraid to drive on it. In addition, I'm a nature lover, and since I've moved here, I've noticed a reduction in some of the natural species that I'd never seen before. My husband and I moved from Iowa. I'd never seen a tortoise, a gopher tortoise, or an egret, or an ibis. And I'm seeing fewer and fewer of those. And I know that's related to all this development. So subjectively, I feel that the commission is trying to drive retirees away from this community. And that's my subjective experience. And I believe that I'm also a former city attorney, small towns in Iowa, but nonetheless I was city attorney. I'm also a former assistant county attorney, and on the civil side, so I'm kind of familiar with what, we don't call them special exceptions, but I have dealt with variance laws when I was in practice, and so I understand the process. And I just am, I listened to your meeting from the 19th, and I don't agree with the conclusions that you've, with your arguments. I don't understand it. I was very disappointed and unconvinced.
Thank you, Ann. Linda Williams.
Hello. Nice to see you all. I'm most concerned because our planning director and our planning board did not approve this, and that we are now calling it something else. And I think this opens a Pandora's box for if we change what we're going to call it, and if we change our make this a special exception, then I think that sets a precedent in which other businesses can come into that area, or we can say, well, no, developers can then say, well, you did it for them, why not for us? And I think that's a dangerous precedent to set. And I know that you are wanting to do what is best for the city and the residents, and I hope you will consider that. It says that in the, I'm not very well prepared tonight. Amendment 1 for the car wash use. Okay, it says in the amendment that you are proposing that it will not affect the quality of life and the characteristics of Granada Boulevard. On the contrary, our planning director says the car wash use would alter the quality of life and characteristics of Granada Boulevard corridor and does not conform to the standards and the requirements of the Land Development Code, would create undue crowding beyond conditions normally permitted in the planned business development zoning district, and adversely affect the public health, safety, welfare, or quality of life. And I know that you're saying that there's evidence that this is not true, but if we can't trust our own planning director to give us instructions on this, and we're going to take the evidence that says we have evidence to the contrary of the person putting out the proposal, then I don't know where this is going. It's very disconcerting that you would take the proposal person's evidence over our planning director and put this out there so that others can ask for the same thing. So thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Becky Grog.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have been asked to read a letter, but I also wanted to say that I also listened to the tape myself, and I feel very strongly that I was very disappointed in the outcome of the voting, and agree that things were changed, that and people were not listened to as far as the our planners, and I worry about the future of that. But I was asked to read for a public record for Suzanne Schaubert, if I can do that now. She was unable to be here. And she says, my name is Susan Schaubert, and I live at 548 Sandy Oaks Boulevard, Ormond Beach. I'm opposed to the car wash going at the front of the neighborhood of Tomoka Avenue and Granada Boulevard, known as Granada Point. This is my second entry on record in writing of being opposed to the car wash. I have also spoken twice against in the City Commissioner Chamber, as it is part of public record. This first time I spoke was during the January Planning Board meeting. The second time I spoke was at the City Commission meeting in February. I'm giving permission for all my speeches and writing against the car wash to be entered as a part of the public record this day, March 21st, 2019. And her phone number and name is listed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron Novisky.
Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Ron Novisky. I live at 1320 Oak Forest Drive, and I've been a resident of Ormond Beach since 1970. And I'm here tonight to speak in favor of the car wash, basically all the amendments, but particularly the car wash. The proposed car wash is a reasonable use in that area. There are car washes on almost every major thoroughfare, east-west thoroughfare, on the east coast of Florida, between I-95 and US 1. There are thousands of people that come to our beach every week, and they want to get their car washed before they go back home. And it needs to be convenient, quick, and inexpensive. There was a quote in the paper the other day that said that we don't need another car wash because there's one mile and a half away. And I don't know about you, but every time I go to Sparkle and Shine, I'm reminded of the Yogi Berra restaurant review where he said nobody goes there because it's so crowded. This area is changing dramatically, and all you have to really do is go out to Williamson, Clyde Morris, LPGA in that area, and see the explosion of apartments. And those apartments are adjacent to, visible from, or very near the interstate for a very main reason, and that's because the people that live there are absolutely dependent on their automobile to earn a living or to get somewhere else in Central Florida where they can earn a living. And for many of them, their car is their most important asset. And a lot of them, it's their most valuable asset, and they have to take care of it. And a lot of them have jobs and careers where they have to have a clean and presentable car. And none of them, not a one of them in those apartments, have a driveway to wash it in, and very few of them have a garage to put it in to keep it clean after it is washed. And I had a little difficulty first time wrapping my head around the idea of this being a personal service, but I've come to that conclusion. A car wash for those people, and many people in our community, is just as much a personal service as a hair salon, a barber shop, a nail salon, or a gym, or a dry cleaner. And I'd urge you to vote in favor of it. Your vote last time, I think, was very important. It was more important than just approving the PCD amendments and the car wash. It really affirmed the deference that you give to property rights, and I think that's very important in our economy. And Milton Friedman, the great libertarian economist, he wrote the book Free to Choose, and he had a quote, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically he said, people who don't trust free markets don't trust freedom. And does that mean developers can put anything anywhere, or the government doesn't have a role? Of course not, and nobody is suggesting that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Julie Sipes.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Julie Sipes of 355 Applegate Landing. The trees are all gone. There are large concrete blocks with hooks to hold down gas tanks. This is needed when a gas tank is on a floodplain so that the gas tanks won't float away. The sad tale of Granada Point began in 2015 and 16 when the Commission approved the rezoning of 8.6 acres of residential property and the remaining land from office professional to commercial retail. Add to that the special exceptions of a gas station and drive-thrus. For me and many others, this rezoning and special exceptions was the original sin of Granada Point. The second sin was the planned business development loophole, which allowed the developer to assemble parcels of land to form a massive high-density development. Which brings me to the final sin. Despite the fill requirement for wetlands, many trees could have been saved. Sloping and tree canopy wells could have been employed. These decisions have resulted in the permanent alteration of this crucial area for the worst. Clear-cutting a forest for a gas station, convenience store, and a car wash is not progress. There were numerous times when the Commission could have considered the objections of the residents, most residents, but they refused to listen. We were stonewalled from the first neighborhood meeting in 2017. These rezonings beg the question, why was the zoning weakened to allow development so inconsistent with this area? We hear a lot about property owner rights. What about the rights of incumbent homeowners? Regarding the car wash, it is disturbing that the Commission would so easily go against Ormond's comprehensive plan and the advice of professionals in our planning department. The Commission is setting a dangerous precedent if it approves the car wash to claim that it is a retail product or personal service when it is clearly an automotive service. You are opening Pandora's box. This once beautiful and classy section will look more and more like US 1. Indeed, it's a sad state of affairs when we are left with a choice between a car wash and a fast food restaurant, and that a car wash is justified because a gas station will already be there. Do you see the irony? The truth is, none of them belong there. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Ed Kalaska, followed by Norman Lane.
Good evening. My name is Ed Kalaska, 32 Rio Pinar Trail, Ormond Beach, Florida. have a hard time believing that the residents near Granada site are enamored with the gas station and the car wash. I can see them all on a Saturday morning enjoying coffee on their patios, listening to the swoosh of the car wash mechanism and the smell of aroma from fresh fuel in the morning air after a sleepless night as a result of the 24/7 light glaring from the gas station. By the way, an 8-foot wall is not going to deter the noise from the car wash. A 10-foot wall will do no better. If the car wash does not make so much noise, why did the developer lobby for 8-foot walls? What we have here is a failure to listen, to comprehend, and to act on behalf of the residents who you supposedly serve and represent. You have got to stop the glad-handing, the backslapping, and the photo posing. What you have done thus far is nothing less than self-serving, self-gratifying, and bordering narcissism. Example, and I quote, "I really don't think this use is going to be bad in any way. I think it's appropriate. It fits the area. I. Like I said, self-serving. Nothing of substance, just general BS to justify a yes vote. What you're about to create is the ultimate blivet, formerly known as Granada Point. You're in a quandary as you owe the developer for paying your way into the seat you occupy. In other words, he owns you. All we know is that this is not his car wash, but it is key to the overall development of Granada Point. Morally, you should have an obligation to the residents of Ormond Beach, but morals and politics do not belong in the same sentence, especially within these four walls. Many people do not show up to these meetings because of the frustration with the City Commission. They know decisions are made before those 5 seats are occupied during any given meeting, going all the way back to the New Britain Avenue debacle. Just a few of us are willing to stand up and fight for what is right for the city. And how in God's creation did all of you determine that a car wash was a personal service and not an automotive service? Is a car wash possibly described as an automobile? Is getting a haircut, manicure, perm, dry cleaning service, shoe repair, etc., fall within the realm of personal service? This is just another way you bend the rules to justify your self-serving narcissist ways. You should be ashamed of the way you act as the developer's puppets over the past years. Tonight, nothing less than a 5-0 vote vetoing the car wash will suffice. A 3-2 or 4-1 vote for the car wash with a "we tried" attitude ain't going to cut it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Norman, thank you, followed by Stacy Atkins.
I'm Norman Lane, 1314 Northside Drive, and our city has a comprehensive plan designed to allow development but preserve the quality of life in our city. That plan says that car washes don't belong on Granada Boulevard. We have a well-informed planning board who understands the comp plan and uses that to advise the City Commission on matters of development. They advised against this car wash. We have a very competent building department who's there to enforce the comp plan. Mr. Spraker did a great job of explaining, clarifying that this car wash doesn't belong here. The citizens of Ormond Beach have expressed their opposition to this car wash over and over again. I'm just hoping that this commission will have the integrity to listen to the rules rather than the desires of one particular developer. Thank you.
Thank you, Norman. Stacy Atkins.
I've been asked to read a letter written by Katie Tripp, PhD, former supervisor, Volusia County Soil and Water Conservation District. Dear Mr. Mayor and members of the City Commission, I regret that I cannot attend tonight's meeting in person, but I wish to share a few thoughts with you regarding Ordinance 2019-5, which will have its second hearing at your meeting this evening. I am concerned that the Commission is moving forward with allowing a car wash at Granada Point for several reasons. 1, I do not think the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and I am concerned with the disregard that was shown for the planning staff's expertise in overturning the decision of the Planning Board. Number 2, as a resident at 502 Cherrywood Drive in Ormond Beach, the Granada Point development is in my neighborhood. I purchased my home here in Ormond in November 2018 and was attracted to this community by its walkable, bikeable aspects. It is important to me that I can get a bite to eat or pick up a couple of grocery items without having to get in my car. As a resident, I favor businesses that provide me with a good or service I need, which is not otherwise available. I wash my car probably twice a year at most, and there are already 2 car washes close to me on US 1 that can provide this service to me. Adding a third has no utility to me as a resident. Number 3, the car wash is being presented as a singular alternative to a fast food drive-through, and as such, being touted as a preferable option from an environmental and community aspect. This isn't a fair comparison because there are other types of businesses that could be allowed here, and until such time as there are 2 specific businesses being presented, it's not possible to weigh benefits and costs. There is such a thing as an environmentally friendly car wash, but that is not what is being proposed here. An example of a green car wash in Orlando is Green Phantom Wash, which you can Google at thatname.com. Number 4, Ormond is a beautiful city. When I first visited here and drove down Granada Boulevard with its trees and architectural choices, I thought it was a well-planned city. Now I see choices being made that are turning Granada and Ormond into any town USA. Ormond is special. Don't forget that. We preserve the quality and character of our community by having standards and being selective about what we want for our community. This isn't a choice of fast food or a car wash. It's the choice of setting a tone for the future growth and redevelopment of an entire city. I respectfully request that you vote against the proposed ordinance and allow city staff to work with the developer to choose a business for this property that is consistent with our comp plan, benefits the people who live and work in that part of the community, and which contributes to Ormond's unique and special character. Thank you for considering my comments.
Thank you. And now the applicant, this is the final card, Paul Holub.
Mr. Mayor and members of the Commission, for your record, my name is Paul Holub. I am the managing member for Granada Point Investors, reside at 675 North Beach Street. Just here to answer any questions and just to respond to a couple of the comments that were made tonight. What most of the speakers are missing is that in 2017, 2018, when the PBD came before you, the planning director and the planning staff supported Type C convenience gas for this property. And in Type C convenience gas, you have 4 permitted uses. One is gas station, canopy gas station service, convenience store, fast food with a drive-through. These are all permitted, and a car wash. That was done at the professional review and support of the planning director and the planning staff. The car wash is already a permitted use if it was adjacent to Wawa. If we built another gas station and put the car wash in, it is already a permitted use without a public hearing. The other item is regarding the environmental. They recycle the water at this car wash. These are real numbers. They'll go through about 140,000 cars annually. They'll buy approximately 1.6 million gallons of water from the city. And if those same cars were washed in your driveway, they would use approximately 10 million gallons of water. They also collect all of the contaminants in the tank, in the tunnel. It is not like when you wash your car in the driveway, it goes down your driveway into the storm sewer system. All of the contaminants are contained within the tanks, the underground tanks, and then those are disposed of. So there's significant environment considerations to the car wash. The other thing is, yes, there's a reduction in hours of operation. There's a significant, about 70 to 75% reduction in trips versus what was originally planned for that lot, which was a fast food drive-through store that would be open till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, possibly 24 hours. We've already put in restrictions for the car wash that, in fact, it would have limited hours and no outside detailing and other restrictions because we're going to be developing next door to it, and we want to make sure it does not become a sparkle and shine with 20 or 30 employees. The car wash is a retail use in other communities. It is considered a professional service in other communities, and it is permitted on at all of the east-west thoroughfare that I could find in Volusia County. The tanks are not in a floodway. This land is not in a floodway. There was only a portion on the north parcel that was in a floodway. It has nothing to do with the south side of Granada. And the hooks are there because they poured, that's the base that goes under the tanks. It's not so the tanks will not float away. Those concrete bases go 18 foot deep into the ground. Those are code requirements. I'll be glad to answer any other questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Any other questions for Paul? Just need a motion and a second for discussion purposes.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, move approval.
I second the motion.
Commissioner Persis.
I would like to ask if we could separate the amendments, maybe.
We're going to vote on them individually.
We are?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to discuss them individually?
Just general discussion at this point. If anybody has anything they'd like to discuss or state reasons for how they want to vote, and then we're going to go through 1 through 6, one by one. Anyone?
I guess call the question, Mr. Mayor.
Well, let me just say before we do that, the reason I'm supporting this is it provides less impacts to the residents who live near the property. Less traffic, less noise, less garbage, less hours of operation, and less water usage, which makes it environmentally friendly. Less impacts, less impacts, less impacts. We do have the authority to allow this under the comp plan and the Land Development Code. Planning Board didn't. They didn't have the authority. A couple of the members of the Planning Board told me they would have voted for it if they had that authority, but under the rules that we abide by, they didn't have that authority. So we have a system where this commission acts as the pressure relief valve in that situation. And so where it would have come to us with a favorable ruling from the Planning Board, if they were allowed to, we have to take all the information and make the decision as to what is best. So that's the authority that's vested in us. And the fact that all other things being equal, I'm always going to vote for the project that provides the least impact to the residents who live in that area is why I support this. I think it's the right thing to do. I find disingenuous that people are concerned about a car wash on Granada Boulevard. That argument doesn't carry any weight with me because I look at what's on Granada Boulevard right now and I see a concrete plant, for one. I see a open bay oil change facility. I see a multiple open bay garage. I see a car wash that's maybe 5 yards from the actual road on Granada. Of course, it's not working right now, but it's there in disrepair. And so taking into account all those things which aren't necessarily the most attractive, and the fact that they have been there for years, 20, 30, 40 years, some of those things, without ever one complaint from one person, I just find the argument that somehow this is horrible for that area because of the aesthetics disingenuous. And when you look at the Naples Cloud 10 car wash on Facebook, car washes look different today than they looked 20, 30 years ago. It's a very attractive building. It fits in a very upscale community like Naples, and I think it will fit in a very upscale community like Ormond Beach quite nicely as well. So I just wanted to make the record clear on those few points. If anyone else wants to comment, or we'll start?
Sure.
Commissioner
I certainly want to support you, Mayor. It's in the minutes. Everyone on the planning board loved the project. They loved the look of the car wash. And it's public record. They voted against it because we needed to make the decision on the change of the comp plan, because the buck stops here. That's why many of the people publicly did not vote for it on the planning board. They loved the project, but they wanted us to make the decision, which we are now. Is there a need for a car wash? Well, I got my car washed today, actually, the place over on Timber Creek behind the 7-Eleven, because my car is green because of all the pollen, even though it's actually burgundy, because I drove back and forth to Tallahassee the last 2 days. And I had to wait out on Timber Creek for like 2 minutes before I could be put on in. Thankfully, the need will be determined by the market and the consumers. Economists like Milton Friedman or Thomas Sowell, if you read up on that, you would know that. And speaking of consumers, if you look at the Timber Creek car wash, the car wash that the mayor spoke about, Sparkle and Shine, and there are, I think, were 5 or 6 of them, including on Hand and Nova. People expect car washes next to gas stations. It's almost like they want car washes next to gas stations. So let's also go to the sound item. If this car wash was going to affect the sound, the quality of life to the residents behind Granada Point, I would vote against it. But with the reports we got, I didn't just even take that for granted. I Googled what car washes do, the sounds they make, decibels and the such. And seriously, the water fountain is going to make more noise to the residents back there than the car wash will. That's just the fact. So I support this, and there you go.
Thank you, Commissioner Littleton. Anyone else? Commissioner Selby.
Just as these are overall comments at this point, but we're going to discuss each of the individual things individually?
Well, we're going to go through each amendment with a motion and second to approve each amendment as presented, and see if there's any further discussion.
Okay, well, I'll hold my comment until we get to
okay. Commissioner Persis.
I just want to, first of all, personally thank Paul Holub for everything he's done for Ormond Beach. He's just made us look really great and better, and I appreciate everything he's done. My no vote is still going to stand only because the planning board and staff voted no, and I feel like I need to listen to what they think. And has nothing to do with I don't like people saying that people up here are narcissists or that we're bought, because that's not true. I know these people, and I think so highly of them, but my no vote is just because of what I just said, not because of really anything else. And I want to support my commissioners, and that I don't accept some of the things that were said tonight. I don't like that, but I am going to vote no.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll start with Amendment 1. I need a motion and second to approve Amendment 1 as presented.
Motion to approve Amendment 1 of 9E.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Commissioner Selby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I struggle over this a lot. And by the way, I was actually in Austin, Texas, when this was first discussed. There's some information in the newspaper that but it was on business. I was not dodging this item. I was disappointed I wasn't here. But I've struggled a lot on this. But here's where I came down on this. First of all, it is a permitted use. Mr. Holub just said that. The car wash is a permitted use. Whether you classify it as a personal service or as a retail operation, I don't know how you can't call it retail. The fact that it's automotive, it's by far the lowest intensity automotive, quote, automotive type use you could imagine. I mean, compared to a repair shop or any other of the way more intense body shop, tire store, with ratchet hammers and so forth. So, and so to me, and this is one of these things that drives me crazy about government, where if we were to vote this down, we would be standing on what I would call basically a teeny technicality, because it's permitted use. I mean, it's not like it couldn't be there anyway, and the fact that it's freestanding to me is just not material enough to vote no on it. So I will be voting yes on number 1.
Thank you, Commissioner Selby. Any other discussion? If not, let me just state that I think it is a property rights issue to some extent. I mean, I think people who believe that a government works with a property owner to bring in a business that the residents all vote and decide that they like have kind of a misguided understanding of property rights. It's not the way that it really works. And the comp plan issue, Stephen, was it every 3 years or every 5 years that we used to amend and update the comp plan? Every 7 years. And that was back before, was it 08 or 09 when that changed?
Correct. It was amended by the state that the cities didn't have to do it. They could do it as they needed.
Okay. And so that's why that kind of automatic review where something like this could have been changed and corrected to bring the comp plan more up to date with the times wasn't looked at, because we would have had another review in between that time. So just wanted to point that out. Also, this is the second reading, and for each of my votes this evening, I'll be relying on my previous analysis that I stated at length at the last meeting. I'm not going to repeat it all here tonight. The sum of it was that it's less impacts. And with that, Lisa, I'll ask you to...
Mr. Mayor,
Deputy Mayor,
I'm not going to repeat my comments either that I made at the last meeting. I stand by all those comments that I made then as I do tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
No.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And now, Randy, Amendment 2 through 6 were essentially uncontested. Do you want us to go through each one of those individually, or can we take them as...
However you want to do it. Last time you did it all as a group, and that would be fine.
Mr. Mayor, would you be okay if I made a motion to include Amendments 2 through 6 together?
Awesome.
A motion for approval for those?
Second.
All right. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I want to discuss that.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Selby.
So we have a motion and a second. So we have... sorry, you want me to discuss this? Yeah, okay.
This is on amendments 2 through...
Combining them. Okay, so I have a concern about number 4, okay, the $10,000 contribution to the Historical Society, and I have questions about number 5. And I also, at number 6, I don't support taking down the tree.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, let me put you on pause for a moment. In light of Commissioner Selby's concerns, would you like to treat those 3 separately from the other?
That'd probably be the safest thing to do, just so we have a clean record. So, Deputy Mayor,
I will withdraw my motion then, and if you're okay, Mr. Mayor, it's really not that big of a deal. There's only 5 of them left. Can we just do them individually?
Sure.
So this is number 2, and I would make a motion for approval.
Second.
Any other discussion? Lisa, please call the vote on Amendment 2.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. I'll entertain a motion on Amendment number 3.
Move approval number 3.
Second.
Any other discussion? Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And Amendment 4.
Move approval 4.
Second.
And Commissioner Selby will recognize you for...
Thank you. Okay, so I actually had an opportunity to address the Historical Society this afternoon in my role regarding the half-cent sales tax, okay? And here's my concern about this. I absolutely am thrilled that Mr. Holub is prepared to make a $10,000 contribution to the Historical Society, and I'm confident that he will if it's not in the development order. But I don't want it in the development order, and I don't think it should be in the development order. I think it potentially sends a wrong message that somehow we extracted, the city of Ormond Beach extracted that donation to a private or to a not-for-profit entity out of a developer doing business in this city. I know the genesis of this, how this evolved to this point, and why I suspect, and I don't want to speak for you, Mr. Holub, but I suspect that you just want clarification on where this sits now, which is that you're not going to provide the 8 parking spaces, and they don't want it was the Historical Society who said they don't want the 8 parking spaces and they don't want the sidewalk, and the 10 grand was to build the sidewalk. So I get it where we are, but I think this should be removed from the development order altogether. That's my opinion.
Commissioner Littleton.
Yes. There was a pretty convincing editorial that mentioned and gave me a different perspective on the $10,000 contribution. Again, that was the genesis was different. That's not what that was. It morphed into this. I'm not exactly a no vote on it now, but if it came up again, I don't like it now. I've been convinced that I don't like this type of money transfer type thing. So if it's the commission's will to take it out, I'll vote to take it out. But I don't think it's an issue right now for me.
Let me ask, Paul, as the applicant, do you have strong feelings one way or the other?
Mr. Mayor, we only requested it because it was part of the original development order, and so we had to get clarification or a release of the way it was originally drafted. We'll be glad to deliver the donation to the Historical Society tomorrow. I mean, we had every intention of making that donation originally for the walkway. They don't want the walkway. They have a good reason why, and we certainly don't want to shortchange the Historical Society. It's a great community asset, and we're going to make that donation to them this week.
Thank you. Stephen and or Randy, legally, is there any reason to leave it in there?
No. I mean, my recollection is this is just a stipulation that the applicant agreed to do. I don't think it was an exaction, although I understand how that could be the perception. It is not something ordinarily that would be required by the planning staff or the planning board or the city commission. You can do with it what you want. If your desire is to have it removed as a proposed amendment, then my recommendation would be to just simply withdraw the motion to accept this and then make a new motion to have it removed as a condition of the ordinance and the development order, and then I'll clean it up on a tail end and it won't it'll disappear.
Mr. Mayor, since I was the maker of that motion and I can totally agree with where this conversation is going, I will go ahead and do just as the city attorney has recommended, and I hope the seconder feels the same way. So everything Randy Hayes just said, I'm in agreement with.
Second.
Great. So you've withdrawn the original motion to approve Amendment 4 and made a motion to
take it out.
Take it out.
So a yes vote on this would be to remove it as a condition.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Any other discussion or questions? I thought you seconded it, basically. Am I correct?
Second.
Okay, we're good.
I think we both seconded it.
Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes.
I do want to ask one follow-up question, Mr. Mayor, if I can.
Yes.
In light of that, do you want to have further discussion regarding Amendment Number 3 on the parking spaces that was related to the 3 chimneys? And this may or may not be something that Stephen wants to weigh in on.
Amendment 3 sought to remove the previous requirement. So I would
Just
suggest
leave it as it
highly
is.
to leave it in there to remove that requirement, because they're not walking anymore from that spot to the
Sure.
3
That's
chimneys.
Perfect. Okay. So that brings us to Amendment 5.
Yes. Move approval.
Second.
All right. And Commissioner Selby, you had some questions.
Yeah, well, I just, maybe the planning director explained this at the last meeting, but I was not able to listen online, and I couldn't make the math add up. To me, when I look at the chart, it's like there's 7, and I think this would make it 8 buildings or parcels, and I just help me to understand what this means.
So in the original development order, the text of the amendment said 5 to 8 parcels, but the actual site plan didn't show the same numbers. So basically, as we were going through this process, the clarification was they were allowed a maximum of 8. The north side parcel could be divided into 2. The unit 4 could be divided into 3, and then you had 3 other, so you would have a maximum of 8. The applicant has previously said it depends on the size of the grocery store on unit 4 to determine the number of parcels that would be allocated. So it's a clarification on our part to clean up the difference between the text and the ordinance and then the exhibit.
So what is the limitation on, is it unit 4 or the grocery store? That's the one we're talking about, unit 4, right?
It would be 3. So they showed 2 on the original exhibit. Now they're showing 3.
I mean, is there a maximum square footage? And so if the grocery store gets smaller, then you can have 2 buildings to make up the difference. How does it work?
So there's a maximum trip generation within the development order. So, they can shift between parcels and buildings, but they can't exceed the maximum trip number. So they could adjust the numbers, or they could just do the grocery store and an add-on and then 1 out parcel. So there's some flexibility within the development order, but we want to establish the maximum.
So the methodology is based on trip generation,
correct?
Not really square footage, or
right. And this amendment series didn't amend any of the infrastructure impacts.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Moved and seconded. Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And number 6. Need a motion and a second.
On this one, Randy, can you give a little clarification?
Yes,
I thought that the order we read last time we voted on this, it was actually taken out, that the applicant didn't even want to take the tree down anymore. Is that right?
Right.
Well, the vote was to deny the removal of the tree.
Right.
I guess, and I hadn't thought about removing it as a condition altogether, but if the applicant wants to voluntarily remove that request from the application, then I suspect it'll just remain in its place. If, however, you would rather affirm your decision to deny the removal of it from last meeting, then you would just simply make a motion to deny the removal of the tree. And that's up to you.
And that's pretty clean.
I can make it work either way for you.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes.
And Mr. Mayor, whatever your pleasure, we would agree to withdraw the request. And just one other clarification, I thought today was Tuesday. Our secretaries are not in on Friday, so we will not be delivering a check until Monday to the Historical Society.
Gotcha.
Mr. Mayor, motion to deny, number 6.
Second.
All right. Any other questions or discussion?
No, I was just thinking I wanted to second that, but I was laughing at what Mr. Olive said.
All right. Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And now that we've worked through amendments 1 through 6, they've all been accepted and approved. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the vote on the motion to approve the underlying ordinance and development order, inclusive of amendments number 1 through 6 as presented.
Right, as you have just accepted, right. And for the record, that would be accepting the car wash as a permitted use for retail sales and service. It would include allowing the privacy walls to range from 6 feet in height to 8 feet. It would include the release of the easement regarding the future provision of the 8 additional parking spaces. It would include the removal as a condition, the contribution of the $10,000 funds. It would include the approval of clarification that 2 out parcels are allowed on Unit 4, and it would include your vote to deny the removal of historic tree number 19. So that would be inclusive in the underlying measure.
Good deal.
Mr. Mayor, move approval on that. Is that okay?
Well, I think you already did.
You did. Yes.
Did I already?
On the underlying
So you
motion.
just now call vote on it.
Perfect. I won't make a second motion on my motion.
Good.
Any other discussion? Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Selby.
Yes.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And now we are on 9F.
Ordinance number 2019-8, an ordinance amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city of Ormond Beach by amending the future land use map to change the destination of one parcel real property totaling 5.2 acres located at 2575 West Granada Boulevard, Volusia County Property Appraisal Parcel Number 412800000025 from public institutional to suburban low-density residential, providing for conflict, authorizing transmittal, and setting forth an effective date. This is ordinance number 2019-8, read by title only.
Thank you, Lisa. And I'll ask Planning Director Stephen Spraker to speak on this item.
This is a request to change the land use of the property shown on the screen. It is along West Granada Boulevard. Here's the entrance of Hunter's Ridge here. Within the original Hunter's Ridge Development of Regional Impact, this was shown as a public institutional land use. The property has significant wetlands on this side here, and it's part of a larger retention pond. So the property owner sought to change it from public institutional, which would allow churches, daycares, assisted living facilities, to one single residential unit. So they're going through the process. The first part is the land use, and the second part is to amend the actual development of regional impact, which will come back before the City Commission. This is the survey of the property, and what we did was show the wetlands, the buffer that's proposed, and this is the lake. So this is really the buildable area. There was a question at the planning board, could they subdivide it and make multiple lots? They're only being assigned one single-family unit from the development of regional impact, so the answer is they could only do one house. The planning board did recommend approval of the small-scale land use amendment, and again, the DRI amendment is required. Thank you.
I don't have any cards on this item. Just need a motion and a second.
Move for approval ordinance number 2019-8.
Second.
Any discussion or questions for Stephen? No. Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Littleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Selby.
Yes.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And now we move to 9G.
Ordinance number 2019-9, an ordinance amending Chapter 3, Performance Standards, Article 4, Architectural Design Standards of the Ormond Beach Land Development Code by adding a new Section 3-72, Original Artwork Murals on Private Property, regarding murals on private property, amending Chapter 2, Article 4, Condition and Special Exception Regulations, Section 2-5778, Tattoo parlors, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is ordinance number 2019-9, read by title only.
Thank you, Lisa. And I'll ask the planning director to speak on this item as well.
This is a land development code amendment that would apply to our downtown overlay district. So again, basically from A1A to Orchard along Granada Boulevard. The murals came before the City Commission as a discussion item, and our City Attorney's Office in Main Street has been working on it since. The framework of the ordinance provides definition, provides a submittal process, a review process. We go through the Ormond Beach Art District Board and then to the Commission for approval. It does not allow the review of the content of the mural. One of the things we were seeking direction from the City Commission was the ordinance requires a fee. There are two options that we saw. One was not to require a fee, similar to the Building Improvement Grant Program, or the other option was to charge a required advertising fee for the two public hearings. So we're trying to get input on that. The Ormond Main Street, again, has worked to provide input and to guide how this document was written. There's a long legal history that I'm sure Randy can give you about murals. Planning Board did recommend approval. And if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Stephen. Any questions right off the top for Stephen? All right, appreciate it. I've got one card from Judith Stein.
Hello, I'm Judy Stein, 166 Orchard Lane. I'm the president of the board of the Ormond Beach Arts District, and the Arts District was developed about 2 years ago as a sister organization to Main Street. And since our inception, we've been working to get a mural program in Ormond Beach. This has really been one of the things that we've been hoping to accomplish. And I just wanted to assure the commission that we have people on our board that are interested and able to help in this process. We have already people that are interested in having murals on their buildings. We've got a registry of muralists, and we want to expand that, get more people who are interested in doing murals, who are experienced in doing murals. And we've been working to develop forms and systems that the city is going to be adapting for use. And what I can assure you is that we won't bring any mural before the commission that we don't think that you would love and approve.
Thank you, Judy. I appreciate that. Any other questions for Judy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sullivan.
Ms. Stein, are you sure you're up for this?
We're all volunteers, so I don't know.
I know. The reason first of all, I love this. I mean, I've been waiting forever for this. I liked the old toucan or whatever it was on the hotel on the beach. I used to hang out there with my kids when they were
Parrot at the Quality Inn, Surfside.
There you go. Okay, that was the one. Anyway, I want to read to you from page 1456. The board that is charged with reviewing applications for murals will have a difficult time ignoring the content of the mural during their review, because the vast majority of public comment may well center on the subject matter of the mural. The board will be very tempted to delve into content questions, which may be later challenged by the applicants as a violation of their First Amendment rights. I mean, and it's not really a question for you, but what else matters other than the content of the mural? I mean, time, place, and manner is what we're supposed to be able to regulate, which time, place, manner. Okay, well, we know they're going to be for 10 or 12 years. We know you can approve the places, because which wall on which building, and we know you can approve the materials and the distance they stick out, and whether or not they glare and cause a visual obstruction that might be unsafe. But how in the world are you going to approve a mural with? I mean, basically, somebody could hand you a blank sheet of paper and say, "Please approve this. I want to put this on Selby's building on East Granada."
Well, when we originally conceptualized this program, we had come up with a number of categories of content, and historic history of the area, flora and fauna of the area, and beach and ocean, seashores type things. So we would encourage anyone who's going to do a mural to stay within the parameters of those guidelines. I think, as I understand it, you can't regulate the content.
Oh, so that's the catch. Is that the catch,
perhaps
Mr. City Attorney?
Randy would like to speak to that.
This is the same dilemma that we had with the signs, right? So, and therein lies the challenge with developing some regulations for murals, because it's all about making things pretty. The way you get there is to evaluate the content. The problem in the regulation with creating categories or labels is we've now, by the label itself, have targeted content, and that subjects it to challenge. I think from an operational perspective, as we understand this program will work, is that the Art District will have an opportunity to vet through some of those concepts in the process, and I think it's actually going to work quite well. But that's the reason why you don't see categories or labels within the regulation itself, because that's the tripwire that causes the problems. So.
I guess the other thing is that the building owners are probably going to want beautiful murals that won't offend the public on their buildings, and so I think that there are a number of checks and balances on the process that.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I want you guys to do a great job. I want beautiful murals. I want, but I also don't want to end up in expensive litigation, So I wish you the absolute best. I'm sure it's going to go great. I hope it does, and I'm definitely in support of this.
Thank you.
Commissioner Littleton, followed by Commissioner
Stein,
Persis.
how long is this the whole application process going to take before your approval, do you think?
I'm not sure. It will go through the 2 months. I think it will take 2 months.
There you go.
2 months.
Thank you.
Why I think that.
Thank you so much. I would also like to state, because it's going to go through, this is going to be a process that takes time, energy, and other types of money, even painting the mural. I'm for option 1, not assessing a fee.
Commissioner Persis.
No, I just wanted to, hi there. I just wanted to say I'm very excited about this. My only concern is that the murals would be kept up and always looking fresh and good, and whoever is in charge of the mural, must, I think that just really needs to be a requirement, because when they look good, they look great.
Yep.
And if they start deteriorating, that's when it's going to be a problem and people are going to start complaining.
Sure.
I know there's some kind of finish you can put on them, I think, where they really last a long time. So I just want to just kind of express that I just really want them to always look really nice.
Right. Well, that would be a requirement. And also the entire cost of this is going to be borne by the property owner.
Right.
So.
Any other questions for Ms. Stein? Thank you, Judy. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I just want to comment on fees. These things are really expensive to do. Therefore, even though normally I would say, hey, we should recoup our advertising costs, I think as we get this program going, I would be in favor of, I could support no fee.
What is the advertising cost?
A couple of $100, I think it said in the write-up.
It varies on the size of the advertisement. We would estimate $150 for each for the advisory board and the commission. So we think it's about $300.
Okay. So I just need it.
We're talking thousands of dollars to do one of these murals right.
I just need a motion to approve covering the waiver of the cost, if that's the will of the commission.
So who's gonna pay for the advertising then? City. So the city's gonna eat that? I'm not okay with that.
I am.
I'm not.
I'm okay with it.
I'm not okay with it.
I know. That's why we.
And I know you are, but I'm just saying you say you are. I say I'm not. So, I don't. I think if the applicant wants to do it, then they should do it. But they should pay for it. I mean, we have people advertise, businesses advertise all the time for things, and for this one, we're going to say, well, because it costs thousands of dollars for them to make improvements to their property, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we don't pay for it. I'm not okay with putting this on the backs of the taxpayers. I'm all for it. I love murals. I was sad as a young adult whenever the parrot went down over at the Quality Inn or Surfside. But I didn't sit here at the commission at that time. I just don't think it should be paid for by the taxpayers. I think it should be paid for by the applicant that wants to have the mural that people are going to love and flock to and go to and take pictures next to. That's why I'm against that part, Mr. Mayor.
How about a 1-year moratorium on fees for
No.
the first 12 months?
No.
Can I help you out here?
Randy.
You don't have to set the fee as part of this ordinance. The staff is looking for some direction. We actually have prepared on the ready another ordinance to bring to you that would establish a fee. And, I think that's probably scheduled for the next commission meeting.
Great.
Depending on what you all want to do. So if you like
we're
this,
pre-talking about it then.
Right.
Pardon? But we'll still need direction. I mean, you'll need to approve this ordinance this evening, but the staff still needs to have direction, so we'll know whether to put a fee into that ordinance that we're going to bring back before you, or don't bring it at all.
Well, I don't think we want a fee. I'd rather call it a advertising reimbursement. So there's no additional cost that the city's looking for. We're just asking that whatever the advertising cost happens to be, that's paid by the applicant.
Okay.
With the legislature moving now to change everything that's called a fee a tax, I don't want to call anything a fee at this point, because I see what's coming down the road as they do that. But is there a way to have a motion that would?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's. I'll find a place to stick it in here on second reading.
Okay.
But if you want to amend your motion to approve the ordinance to include a provision that simply requires the applicant and the building owner to reimburse the city for the advertising costs, is that sufficient, Stephen? Then that'll suffice for this evening, and then I'll get it ready for you. You can come back and take a look at it on second reading.
Is that your motion?
Yeah, I didn't make the motion to begin with on this, but
Nobody. There wasn't one yet.
Oh, there wasn't? Yeah, okay. Then yes, I will make that motion. Thanks, Randy. Again, 2 times tonight.
Second.
All right. Any other discussion? Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes, and that brings us to 9H.
Ordinance number 2019-10, an ordinance amending Chapter 3, Performance Standards, Article 4, Sign Regulations, Section 3-48, Ingress and Egress and Address Signs for Public Safety and Traffic Circulation of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by adding a section for wall sign animated, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is ordinance number 2019-10, read by title only.
Thank you, Lisa, and I'll ask Stephen, our planning director, to speak on this one as well.
This is a request for a land development code amendment, again, within our downtown overlay district. The request is to allow animated wall signs under certain conditions. As part of the process, we asked Ormond Main Street to look at it. One of the things that was discussed was the sign for this individual site wasn't necessarily an issue, but the concern was how it would impact other sites, and from that, there was a direction to do these signs as a special exception, so each one could be reviewed by the Planning Board and City Commission. The Planning Board did recommend approval of that, including the special exception, at their meeting, and staff is recommending approval of the ordinance.
Thank you, Stephen. I have one card if needed. I would need a motion and a second for any discussion.
So moved.
I second the motion.
All right. Any discussion or questions?
I have a question.
Commissioner Sullivan.
And this may be either for the planning director or for City Attorney Hayes. On page 1542 of it's in the ordinance itself, or I guess in the modifications to the, it's in the ordinance. Okay. Under item 4A, it says wall sign animated shall display graphics only and shall not contain any wording. Randy, how can that be? I mean, isn't that content? Isn't that regulating content?
Well, no, what we're saying is that, you can have a graphic, which is an image, if you will, without having any words. If you allowed the words, then that would be, content, actually. So, what we're saying here is no wording or no content. So,
and it's very similar to what was just approved for the mural ordinance.
Yeah.
So there was a provision for no words in the mural ordinance.
Yeah, except that we're doing this, not
the art district. Well, they're both your programs.
Huh?
Both of these are your programs, the mural ordinance program and this. So we tried to be careful to make sure that we didn't have anything in this ordinance that conflicted with what you did on the mural ordinance. So
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but if you tell me I can't control the content, and yet I'm controlling the content because you can't put any words in there, that's controlling the content in my mind. I mean, if I came to you with a sign, with an animated sign that had words in it, and you said, no, you can't have words, I'm saying, well, wait a minute, you don't have any control over that because that's my content.
Well, one way of, if you want to alter the wording of this, we could just say, with a graphic image only. You can exclude the prohibition on the word words if you want to do that. It's a semantical difference, but we could do that if you're more comfortable with that.
So, and you've studied the Supreme Court stuff, but it sounds like you sort of view words as the controlled content, but not pictures or images.
Well, you have some subcategories in that. Words obviously will go to content because they tend to be verbally descriptive of stuff. Graphics and images can be content as well if you're defining what the image must be like, or you're excluding certain other types of images. In this ordinance, they've not done that. They've tried to keep it limited to the size, the spacing, and that sort of thing. So, I'm comfortable the way that it is, but semantically we can change it to make it even more generalized if you're more comfortable with that. I'm fine with that.
No,
too.
I'm comfortable if you're comfortable. I mean, I read it and just wanted to.
But as
sort
you
of
know,
get an
anybody can
understanding.
sue anyone for anything at any time.
Right.
Now, the way to truly make this stuff bulletproof is you don't approve it at all, and you don't approve a mural ordinance at all, and you don't approve anything at all, and in that way you don't get sued for anything.
Right.
You pick up all of your sidewalks, and you don't have any personal injury lawsuits.
Right.
So I'll get off the soapbox.
It's so boring.
Yeah. Make my life a lot easier.
And what would we need you for then, Randy? See, be careful what you wish for now. Come on.
Any other questions or discussion?
When I first heard about this at the Ormond Main Street meeting, I had mixed feelings about an animated sign. And I've talked to a lot of people, and most people think it's great. They think it's, would be cute, this little puffer fish. They think it's cute. And I think I'm glad that it's not on Granada per se. It's basically on Beach Street. So that's why I'm going to vote yes on this. I just don't want to see Granada with a bunch of animated neon signs or anything like that. I just wanted to put that out there.
Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Selby.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes, and we will close the public hearings and move to item 10A.
Ordinance number 2019-7, an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Solid Waste, Yard Waste, and Recyclables, Section 10-16, 6, Recycling of the Code of Ordinances by increasing fees for the collection and disposal of recycling, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or part thereof, setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-7, read by title only.
Thank you, Lisa. I don't have any cards. This is a second reading. Just need a motion and a second.
I move to approve ordinance number 2019-07.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? Lisa, please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Selby.
No.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And we are now on reports, suggestions, and requests. And we'll start with City Manager Joyce Shanahan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to give you an update on your council calendar, your next meeting for workshops only is June 4th for your capital improvement budget and July 30th for your operating budget. I have attended the sales tax meeting that was held by the News Journal in DeLand, and they had one last night in New Smyrna. They have about 6 more of those to go, so we'll get a better gauge of what's happening in the public. On March 14th, city staff had a workshop at the Senior Center to get an idea, to inform the voters of what the sales tax amendment is all about, and then to ask them to indicate what their priorities were. We've also had our city web page with the OpenGov up online since February 14th. We've had 232 visitors to that page, which is good, and 92 have completed a survey. The top vote getters, if you will, for residential priorities right now is Hand Avenue, Williamson Boulevard widening, and Hand Avenue widening from Nova to, I guess, Williamson. So that's their major priorities for transportation. Ormond by the Sea for water quality was 6.5%, and roadway reconstruction was 5.7%. I've sent you that information in the mail. We will do another one of those public hearing workshops, just as a 5-minute presentation with a PowerPoint, and it allows the public to walk around the room and see the specific projects on maps and get a better feedback. And we've scheduled that, I think, for April 10th. It's a Wednesday, so that it was lightly attended, I think mostly because of Bike Week is, not good scheduling on our part. But so it was a good dry run, and we will be doing that again. So we're getting good feedback. Also, I wanted to chat with you. One of our very important members in this community is the school board, and we have a number of schools here we've got 5 elementary, 1 middle, and 1 high school here. Part of it's located in Ormond Beach. And some of our sister cities have been working together with the school board. And I think it would probably be a great idea if we could sit down with them just in a very, like an hour workshop, because they're an important community partner. We want to be an important community partner with them in ensuring the success of our students. So with your permission, I'd like to talk to the school board to set up a maybe hour workshop with some light refreshments beforehand, and we'll find a meeting date that's convenient to everybody.
That'd be great as far as I'm concerned. Commission,
yeah,
anyone
that'd
else?
be great. Yeah,
perfect.
Fantastic.
Very good. Thank you, Joyce, for
All right,
bringing
and that's
that.
all I had. Thank you very much. Oh, one last thing. We will be sending out our education material now that the vote is complete on the recycle. We have a magnet that will go on your refrigerator to tell you what to recycle, a handout. Good. And then Waste Pro will be putting hangers on the door or on the bucket if you put something that's inappropriate in there. So, well, that'll be a soft rollout because we don't want to blow up the Public Works funds with all these little hangers coming out. But so you should start seeing that. We have 22,000 water customers, and so we read like each week we send out bills for certain zones. So a certain zone might get the hanger and magnets before you do because of the way we roll out that billing. So just be looking forward in the mail. And that's all I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joyce. Any questions for Joyce? Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley.
Nothing. Have a good night.
Thank you, Claire. City Attorney Randy Hayes.
No, sir. Thank you. Good night.
All right. And tonight we start with Commissioner Littleton.
Thank you, Mayor. We certainly have done a lot since our last meeting. I mean, if you remember, Mayor Partington, we actually attended a grand reopening of the Winn-Dixie, 17,000 square feet. Great. It's a great partner. Pays a lot of property taxes. They contribute to the Jewish Food Bank, Jewish Federation Food Bank, I think it's called. And they're a great partner in the city. And not only do they provide food and for those in need, but it provides jobs to our community. It was great. Volusia Days just came back from Tallahassee. 3 of us went up there. I'm sure they'll speak of it also. And nice little event. You know, I get to sort of nerd out up there. I was able to sit in on a committee meeting talking about assignment of benefits. That's a big yawn, but it was there. And it was a great thing. You sort of get to see how the state legislature works as it happens, and I love it. Furthermore, the commission should know that Chris Mason and our neighborhood improvement team are second to none. I tell you, I will get an email. I will forward it to staff. And by the time I go out a couple hours later to check it out myself, it's already done. It's already been done. And Mr. Mason's not here now. I saw him earlier, but we have a great staff there, and they do a wonderful job. And thank you, Joyce, for keeping the good crew. Last but not least, Daytona Beach has come out with a priority list for the half-cent sales tax, and Hand Avenue Extension is not on there, and from my understanding, it's not on the counties. Furthermore, septic to sewer in the North Peninsula is not on their priority list either for the county. So I would be in favor, if it's the will of the commission, to draft a letter to Daytona Beach and Volusia County expressing that we would like Hand Avenue Extension to be on their priority list because it's important to us and important to our citizens. And with that, I'll say good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Joyce. We'll see what everybody thinks. They can address Commissioner Littleton's suggestion. Is that something you'd be able to draft for all our signatures? Or okay. And we go to Commissioner Selby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief tonight. I just got back from Tallahassee also with the Volusia Days with the Daytona Regional Chamber of Commerce. Well, really was all of the chambers in the county, so there was a good representation from the west side of the county too, and it was very informative. I am sort of struck by what I call, I don't know, I have this op-ed that I've sort of begun writing in my head. What's wrong with Tallahassee? And I really feel like there's two things, and this just, I have a limited perspective on this because I haven't spent that much time up there, but number one is it's very top-down. It's very authoritative. The Speaker and the President, the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate have a lot of control over the rest of their party. And I just think that stifles creativity, and it also causes the state to, from year to year, change what the priorities are because there's a different person in that role. And I just, it'll be good for us in 2022 when Paul Renner is the Speaker of the House, but that's, 3 years from now. And in the meantime, Paul's doing, like everybody else up there is, or doing the bidding of the guy who's in charge, Oliva, right now. So, and the other thing is that 71% of the legislators, there's 40 state senators and 140, got that number right? 140 representatives? Yeah. 71% of them have 2 years or less experience. Okay? There's a whole bunch of brand new people up there. And I don't know what the number is, but I am pretty confident that very few of them have any local government experience. I've never been elected to local government. And they really don't know what we do. They don't, and they seem to forget that they live in a community. And so they're so common that they'll say, well, let me tell you about this problem. And they'll cite one citizen in one town in one part of the state, and then they want to write a state law, one size fits all. Everybody in the whole state got to do this now. We're going to usurp your ability in the local community to regulate whatever it is, or we're going to make you do something. And it's discouraging. It's frequently called, preempting home rule. I don't know. It's discouraging, and it's almost like once you get elected to a job in Tallahassee, you're so much smarter than anybody back home. And some of these people, they bring up examples. They say, well, in my county or in my city, they did this. So I'm thinking like, well, why didn't you go to your county council, or why didn't you go to your city council and call them out on it? Write a letter to the editor, have a meeting and talk to them about it. Straighten it out right there. Why do you got to go write a law, that makes everybody else, you remember the old one kid misbehaved in class and everybody gets punished? Remember that? Well, that's really kind of how it is. Anyway, I feel a lot better. Thank you for listening. With that, I'll say good night.
Questions from the Capitol. Thank you, Commissioner Selby. Deputy Mayor Kent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to start out with a pretty generic statement of that I love Ormond Beach. And now I'll go into my second statement, which is, Ms. Shanahan, I know we have a reactive code enforcement, and I loved hearing Commissioner Littleton brag about code enforcement, but I didn't drive down A1A heading south until the latter part of Bike Week, in fact, the last day. But unless I missed something, there's bike washes. There were 2 bike washes set up on A1A, and we don't allow that in Ormond Beach. It's not Ormond Beach, and we don't allow that. And it was going on, from what I heard, for the whole 10 days. And I guess my usual constituents that call me and are concerned about that, maybe they didn't drive down there either. But we have places, businesses in Ormond Beach where you can get your vehicle washed. Perfect timing, I guess, tonight to talk about that. But, having those types of setups, we've agreed that that's not what we allow, and I just wanted to bring that up. We have a new sushi restaurant on the beach side over in Commissioner Selby's zone in Granada Plaza, and I stopped by there this afternoon. It was delicious. And a small business, but yet another business opening. And I bring that up because the Ormond Observer wrote a story that I'm still scratching my head about. Like, they wrote a story about Woodstock South going out of business. Why don't you write a story about every business that goes out of business in Ormond Beach? So you wrote it about Woodstock South, but you didn't write anything in there. Maybe they went out of business not because we didn't allow a 6-foot-tall rooster and every other type of product they wanted to sell out front. Maybe they went out of business because not that many people want tie-dye. I don't know. But the story was slanted like this commission put them out of business because we didn't allow them to have their product. We made them follow the rules. How dare we? We made them follow the rules. I didn't remember reading that they broke the rules with their products and wares for sale without getting proper permits, and they broke the rules by having concerts out there that the hotel next door that's been there for 40 years called me and said, "Sir, my guests can't stand this." But the Ormond Observer goes ahead and writes an article to make it look like Ormond Beach is pushing a business out of Ormond Beach. No, Ormond Beach loves your business, but follow our rules, please. I wish that would have been in the article, but I guess it couldn't make it in there. This city staff does a great job, and if you happen to walk out into the breezeway, you're going to see all the chairs lined up for tonight because Ms. Shanahan just didn't know how many people were going to show up. But she made sure that there were chairs ready to rock and roll in case we were going to have this place overflowing tonight, and I appreciate that, Ms. Shanahan. Lucky's is coming along, and, this goes in the same vein with people writing about us shutting down, which we did not shut down, Woodstock South, that we may let Lucky's have their produce out front. We only support big businesses. No, that's not true. Perrines has it. Perrines is allowed to do it. Ormond Beach approved that. And we also allowed Lowe's to do it. So, yeah, maybe almost enough on that. Our first responders yesterday, both chiefs, I was at my house. My parents were coming over for dinner at 4 p.m. and they were late, and they're not late. They live in Ormond by the Sea. And my wife and I heard the sirens for like 10 minutes screaming by us on the beachside. And then to get the email about those 4 sweet, innocent children with that horrific accident up in Ormond by the Sea, near where the old pier used to be. And an elderly person went off onto the beach. And what blows my mind is, if you were outside yesterday, it was chilly. It was not a warm day. And then I read that basically there was the only family on the beach. And it's just like, how does that happen? but I was so pleased that it sounds like everybody is recovering, and Ormond Beach was there to assist. We had our fire department there helping. We had our police department directing where the helicopter was going to land and directing traffic and helping out with Florida Highway Patrol and the sheriff's office. And Ormond Beach right there helping their neighbors. And gentlemen, your departments respectively did a fantastic job. And it just goes to show that with proper training and the right personnel in place, you know, good stuff can happen. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll say good night.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Commissioner Persis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to piggyback onto what Deputy Mayor Kent just said. There was another incident that our police officers did a great job with. There was a white male suspect from Brevard County that was one of her homicides, suspected homicide, and I guess we nabbed him right here. So I was really glad to see that. So thank you for being right on that, Chief. That's awesome. I just wanted to tell you a little bit. The mayor and I had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. last week, and it was just a wonderful conference, the National League of Cities, and they have that every year. And I went to some sessions. I went to one session I really wanted to tell everyone about, and it was for people who their first 90 days in office. So I thought, well, I probably need to do that, so I'm going to go. So I went, and there was about 40, 45 people in the room. And so one of the questions I asked us was, how many of you had any kind of training or orientation when you were elected, right before you started office? And only like a third of the people raised their hand in the room. And that tells me that our city and our staff did such a fabulous job, because I had an orientation almost 3 or 4 hours, it seemed like. So it was just amazing. And so I know that I was representing a wonderful city. So I want to thank Joyce and thank everybody for that, because that was made me feel really, really special. And then the mayor and I also got to go to the Capitol, and we saw Congressman Waltz. Actually, he was in the Cannon building, and boy, we had the best reception. We were greeted by the cutest dog, and we were able to speak with him, and he took his time with us, and we gave him the Ormond Beach priorities, a list of our priorities, and he listened, and he was right on board with us. So it was really a wonderful experience. I know we got that great service because of the mayor, so I want to thank you for that. That was awesome. I really liked it. A couple of the other sessions I went to, one of them was on broadband and how it's inequitable in different parts of the United States as far as the price, and I found that interesting. Ormond Beach, I don't think right now has that problem, but it is a big problem in other areas of the United States. And then the other thing I wanted to tell you all is that I'm going to be on the Downtown Steering Committee representing the commission. And that starts the end of this month. I think the 28th is our first meeting, and we're going to be reviewing the CRA master plan, and there's going to be people from all areas of our city representing. So I'll be reporting to you about what I'm learning about that. And then lastly, one of the things that I learned about when we were in D.C. was that a lot of issues came up about water quality, and I know thanks to Gabe, we have great water quality here. But I know it's still something we have to watch. I'm very concerned about it. And what I'd like to ask the mayor, and if we could possibly maybe have a workshop sometime about looking at the water, making sure we're doing everything we can to ensure our safe and clean water supply. I mean, I know, like it was in the paper Monday, lawmakers targeting pollution. So our state lawmakers are targeting these pollution and water issues. So I think we really need to get on board and make sure we're doing everything that we can to make sure that we keep Ormond Beach the way it is. Hopefully we can do that. There was a lot of talk about septic to sewer and other areas too, Dwight, that everybody was really had a concern about that, and encouraged cities to really get on top of that. And also the pollution with runoff and from fertilizers too. So I just was wondering if anyone else might be interested in that kind of a meeting before one of our meetings. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Persis. I'll start with Winn-Dixie. Commissioner Littleton touched on it. the old Walmart building basically sat empty for a few years, kind of like the Food Lion sat empty for a few years, and now they're turning into something great. Well, the old Walmart building became the new Winn-Dixie, where Big Lots is now on Nova, was where Winn-Dixie was for years. And so 22 years ago, last week, or the week before, week before already, the Winn-Dixie opened their 70,000 square foot store, reopened it, and they've rebranded as far as colors and really upgrading everything in the store. It's beautiful. They have a new dollar section to compete with dollar stores, which is a interesting concept, well thought out, I think, from a business perspective. They have a huge kosher section, and the manager was explaining that it's the largest north of Fort Lauderdale, and that our community really supports that very well. And it was really probably my favorite part of the day was seeing the excitement of the employees, the Ormond Beach employees who work at that store. One woman had been with Winn-Dixie for 45 years, which blew my mind. 45 years with one company, and she'd certainly been at that store for the entire time that they've been open. And they made a $1,000 donation to the Jewish food pantry, so it was awesome to see that. Just a great day, I think, for Ormond Beach, taking what was getting a little old and making it new again. And it's just vibrant. If you haven't had a chance to go through there, it's a huge store, and I think you'll see and be pleased with a lot of the improvements. We did go to D.C. for the National League of Cities Conference. Commissioner Persis was there and had a great meeting with Congressman Waltz. Commissioner Selby and I had been up a month or month and a half ago, and Congressman Waltz had a committee meeting and wasn't available to meet with us. But this Monday, which is generally a slow day on Capitol Hill, he made time for us. We had to change the meeting, so that was a little bit of a hectic rush, but we made it happen, and really a great initial meeting. And he was already in tune with a lot of the projects that are priority projects for us that this commission has talked about, and he took the time to kind of give us a little insight into what's going on, and so we thank him for that, and look forward to working with him in the future. One of the speakers at the NLC conference was Kellyanne Conway, who works in the White House, and the NLC crowd, I can't say they were particularly friendly to her, which I was disappointed to see elected officials maybe not treating a White House staffer basically with a good degree of respect. But it wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't what I would have hoped to see. But Kellyanne Conway spoke on the opioid epidemic, and she was very knowledgeable, very caring, and not as she can be portrayed sometimes in the media. I was impressed with what she talked about. She talked about the tons and tons of drugs that are collected during the National Drug Take-Back Days. And she said one of the most important things you can do in your home towns is really stress those drug take-back days, particularly if you have a community that's starting to get a little older. But even anywhere, it's so important to get those drugs out of circulation and not into the water system. And so I just want to, I think our take-back day is the last Saturday in April. But our Ormond Beach Police Department has a drop-off repository where you can drop off unwanted or unused opioids or any medication anytime. And so I would urge people to take advantage of that. No syringes, needles, or medical equipment, just medications only. And my understanding, that's an anonymous thing. You can just go drop it in, and there's really no questions asked. But so I was impressed with Kellyanne Conway's understanding of that issue. They are putting a ton of money into grants for drug courts and other avenues, justice, criminal justice, to fight the issue, and I think they're going to make some huge results. But I want to emphasize that Drug Take Back Day in April. Just yesterday, we got back from Tallahassee, Commissioner Selby and Commissioner Littleton and myself. Very busy, productive trip with the Daytona Beach Regional Chamber, and I got to give props to Jim Cameron. Over the years, he has done an amazing job of working out the speakers who come and talk to our group from Volusia County. Governor DeSantis came by, Attorney General Moody, DOT Secretary, and a lot of these folks are just new up there. Kevin Thibault, Senators Hudson and Senator Wright. Hudson representing parts of Ormond Beach, and Senator Wright taking Dorothy Huckel's place down in New Smyrna. Representative Renner, Leak, and Federhoff all spoke with us. The Florida DEO Executive Director, Ken Lawson, Department of Economic Opportunity, and he's new in that position. Visit Florida Executive Director, Dana Young, she's new in that position, former senator. The Florida Housing Finance Executive Director, Trey Price, and then the Enterprise Florida Executive Director, Jamal Sowell, all spoke to us, gave us information and answered questions. So it was informative, it was busy, we did a lot of walking, and I saw right outside my hotel room window a huge mural. I don't know if you noticed that, commissioners, but just in front of the brand new Publix Greenwise that they've built up there on Gain Street, there was a large mural. So Tallahassee is allowing murals, and apparently not too concerned about content, I guess. Other cities are doing it. I'm hopeful we'll be okay with that. And then I want to finish on the dog park. I saw a post on Facebook with probably 15 or 20 dogs and a huge crowd of people really using and enjoying that dog park. A dog park is also a people park, and so I'm going to be stopping by there different times through the week. I stopped by today around 1, and I saw 7 people and 7 dogs, and everybody was having a good time. Of course, it's a beautiful day today, beautiful weather, but that's a great amenity for a community, and I just wanted to point out that it's being well used, and our residents are very pleased with it. So with that, I will say good night. We are adjourned.